Okay. I saw Rabbi Levine once. He was old already. Okay. We left off Samach Gimel Amid Beis. So we have a machlokes between Rav and Ravasi. If a person identifies himself as the husband, the father says, I married my daughter off to someone, I don't recall who. So the Mishnah says that if even a single person comes and says, I am the husband, he's believed. So Rav says he's only believed to give her a get, but not to consummate the marriage. So once she receives the get, she could marry another person, but to consummate that. Ravasi says no, he's believed fully, not only to terminate the marriage, but even to consummate the marriage. Why? Because Ravasi holds that there's a concept of mirsas. Even though the father of the girl doesn't have anything to compare this person with someone else, because Rav agrees, if two people come, then we have the principle of the people coming, each one would be afraid, because he may be discovered as being not being the person. So therefore he's believed not only to say he's the husband, but to consummate the marriage. If one of them gives a get, then the other one can marry her. But if it's one, since there's the person doesn't have what to compare it to, so it may not activate the father's memory, the man is willing to take a chance. That's Rab's position. So therefore there's a concept of yitzro tokvo. The man may have a desire for the woman, he may be lying. But if he could be found out, the person's not going to take a chance. So if there are two people, he's not going to take a chance. That's why Rav concurs in that case. Ravasi says no. Even as a single person, he's believed. Okay? So Mor says, Tanya Kavosi de Ravasi. We have a brisa which supports Ravasi, and we rule like Ravasi, that when the Mishnah says he's believed, says he's the husband, that he's believed, and we allow him even to consummate the marriage, to take it a chuppah afterwards. What does it say? It says, Kidashti is biti v'enu yodea lemi kidashtio. Man says, I married my daughter off when she was a minor. I don't recall who the husband was. And the man says, I am the one who I married her. Afnemon lichnos. He's believed even to consummate the marriage, to conclude the marriage, take it a chuppah. So it's a brisa. That's the reason why we rule like Rav Asi over Rav. Normally Rav and Ravasi, we rule like Rav. But because we have a brisa supporting Ravasi, therefore we rule like Ravasi. Listen to this. Konso bo acher bom aniki dashtio. Let's say he goes, he consummates the marriage. All of a sudden, somebody comes. Later date, month after the wedding. I'm the husband. Now what do we do? The Mishnah says if they come, two people come initially, neither are permitted. Because we don't know who the husband is, who to believe. But if you married her, now someone comes, and he says, I'm the husband. I missed the boat, I missed the train, I came late. I was coming, I was on my way. Local hemnu lo sorolov. The man is not believed to prohibit the woman to the man who consummated the marriage. Now, the question is why? What's the reason? What's the reason? After Nisuin. After Nisuin. I mean, why? Just as you believe, if they would come simultaneously, the two of them say before the chuppah. Before the chuppah, then we say neither are permitted because we're not sure who the husband is. But if the man married her, no, no, we're going to Ravasi. We've already proven Ravasi's position is the more correct position. A single, one person, even one person comes, we believe him even to consummate the marriage. Definitely, the Mishnah says two. If one gives the get, yeah, that's the Mishnah. But everybody agrees. Let's say both come and say we are the husbands. Neither are permitted because we're not sure who's telling the truth. Is Reuven telling the truth or Shimon telling the truth? Right? The marriage, Neither. Father says, I don't know. He puts out an ad in the paper. I don't know who the husband is. Let the man who's the husband, let him come. Two people show up. What does the Mishnah say? Neither are permitted. Of course, we're not sure which is the husband. So the Mishnah says, but if they want, one gives a get and the other one could actually marry her. Right? That's the Mishnah. Now we're talking about something else. One man comes, I'm the husband. Ruling Gravasi, we allow him to consummate the marriage. They have the chuppah, they have the wedding. A day later, somebody shows up and says, I'm the husband. Is it the same case as if they originally came together? Do we force the man? We say to the man, we have a question now. Until we could verify who the husband is, you can't remain with her. So we're saying no, he remains with her. Even though someone else comes now, we allow him to remain with her. Local hemno le'osherolov. He's not believed to prohibit his wife to. So what's the rationale? How do we understand it?
Simultaneous, one of them has to be lying.
Changing the status. He's now married to the first time.
Factually, the fact. Who's the husband? First person, I'm the husband. If they would both come, so each one's the husband, each one has credibility to be believed, but since they both can't, we know, that's why we know one is lying. So what happens? So what if he comes later? He's the same single witness who came before. I'm the husband. I'm telling you the fact, I'm the husband. So what if you, so what? Therefore what? Okay, there's a source. I mean, what you're saying is correct. That's the halacha. He's not believed, but why isn't he believed? Now, there's a halacha. Where do we find, even by a dover shebe'erva, a single witness is being believed? There's a halacha, a man forewarns his wife, I don't want you to seclude yourself with a certain man, to sequester yourself with him. Right? And she defies his, and he forewarns her in presence of two witnesses. She goes, she defies him, and she goes behind closed doors. She stays long enough where they could have had relations together. They could have cohabited together. And again, and it's witnessed. It's witnessed by two witnesses. What's the halacha? He's not permitted to until we verify what actually happened behind those closed doors. Why? Because since there's a laim ledover, see, normally a woman goes behind closed doors with another man, even spends a whole night in a hotel. If the husband never forewarned her, she has a cheskes kashrus, and because she has a cheskes kashrus, she's not an adulteress, she's permitted to her husband. I mean, the husband can do what he wants. He wants a divorce, he can divorce her. But within a halachic context, she's not a sota. But here, because he forewarned her, and she defied his warning, and do that, that causes us to what? That's called raglaim ledover. With a specific man. So because that's called raglaim, there's circumstantial evidence saying there's smoke, there may be fire. Therefore, until it's clarified, which you can only clarify one of two ways, you have to have what? No, you have to have, no, that's not, divorce is not clarification. May sota, you have the sota process. And there are no witnesses. There are no witnesses. So you only have may sota. That's the ritual of the sota. Okay, good. So the Gemara says, it says, ve'ed ein bo. Ve'ed ein bo. What happens if you have an eid echod? One witness says, I looked through the peak hole, and I saw they were together. They were cohabiting. So this is the final nail in the coffin. Do you give her the mesoto? We say, no, we believe the single witness. She's definitely an adulteress. He has to divorce her. So the Gemara says, based on Eid Ein Bo, although you don't have two witnesses, you believe the one witness. How do you believe the one witness? He's an Eid Echod. The answer is, because there's Raglaim Ladover, the circumstantial evidence is so strong. Therefore, the Torah says you believe, there's the exception, you believe one witness. Because here we're changing her status. Until now, she's within the realm of being permitted. He finalizes it, she's not going to be permitted. So although it's a Davar Shebe'erva, then normally you need two witnesses, but because over here you have the issue of Raglaim, circumstantial evidence, that adultery was committed, therefore she's not permitted. Okay? Correct? Exactly. It could have been a third party. A third party. They didn't have to be the two. A third party.
So because the two witnesses certify.
Right. Without going, there's no circumstantial evidence.
But if there were not two witnesses and somebody just went to
No, nothing. Definitely would not be believed. Definitely would not be believed. Right? There's no basis. Right? Because he forewarned her, it's irrelevant. Okay. So that's the law. Now the Gemara discusses in Sota, what happens if two people come? One says, I looked through the peephole, and I saw it happening. The other one says, I also looked. Nothing happened. So that's called chad keneged chad. It's one against one. One against one. Each one dispels the other one, cancels the other one. It's nothing. They cancel one another. What happens if one comes and says, I saw, and the court accepted his testimony? And now another person comes later, and he says, I saw it wasn't. She's definitely an adulteress. Why? So the Gemara says, Kol mokum shemina Torah echod, eid echod hariken shnayim. When the Torah believes the testimony of one, it's the equivalent of two. And since the Torah says the testimony in that context is the equivalent of two, and he was already believed, so that the witness comes later, we ignore him because it's one against two. One witness is not believed against two. Of course, the credibility of the one is the equivalent of two. Okay? That's the halacha. So now, over here, what are we speaking about? If they come simultaneously, the two of them, so it's your word against, we didn't accept him yet that he's the husband. So you're not shnayim, right? But so therefore, I am the husband he marries. All of a sudden now the person comes afterwards. It's already, first of all, we value like two, because we accepted your testimony. Now the second one comes, it's one against two, we don't accept the second. Therefore, we say, the second one cannot prohibit it to her husband for that reason. Okay? But now it's not so simple. Because there's a question like this. What about if you have, there's a Muki Yosef speaks about this in Vomis. Let's say you have a case like this, very interesting case. See, and this is the question. The case of Sota. To believe him that when he looked through that peephole that she was committing adultery, what is that testimony classified as? Dover Sheberva. That's a Dover Sheberva testimony. The Torah says normally, how many witnesses do you need a Dover Sheberva? You need two. So if the Torah is believing him, you believe, say, we believe you, that means the Torah is saying the one is two, because you normally need two. So therefore, if the witness comes later and says nothing happened, we don't believe him, because it's one against two, correct? What about a single witness comes and says the meat is not kosher? I saw the meat; it came from the non-kosher animal, right? And he testifies in court. So if two witnesses come simultaneously, again, they cancel one another out. Until now, the presumption was it was kosher. The person that was kosher. Witness says, I know it's not kosher. You believe the one witness. What happens if two witnesses, two people come, one says it's kosher, and one says it's not kosher? Give you a case. You take a caterer for a wedding. Talk. And he believed it was a kosher caterer. And then afterwards, a single witness says, I know for a fact the supplier is a non-kosher supplier. Okay? It's over. Okay? What happens when he came, another witness came and says, I know for a fact it's kosher supplier. So what do? They cancel each other out. The presumption is kosher. What happens if one says it's not kosher, then one comes later and says it is kosher? Since they didn't come simultaneously, do we say they still cancel one another? We say the same thing. If the Torah believes the first, we don't believe the second. So the Muki Yosef has a question. See, seemingly, you should say the same thing. Once we accept the testimony of one is equivalent of two. Therefore, the second one's not believed. Or maybe you could make a difference. What's the difference? This is the difference. By Sota is a Davar Sheberva. How many witnesses do you need a Davar Sheberva? Two. So if you need two, the Torah says when he testified that he saw adultery taking place, being committed, he is the equivalent of two. The witness comes later and says, she did not commit adultery. He's a single witness. Because the Torah, the only way you believe the first witness, he has to have the credibility of two. He's two. The Torah says, Eid echonem bisurin. A single witness is enough for Isser. If that's the case, he never took on the status of two. So even if the latter witness comes later, he could cancel out the first witness. That's his question. So it's not that he's not two. He's one. He's always one, but one's enough. So if the one comes later and he says it's not kosher, it's always one against one. Therefore, you can differentiate, right? To change a woman's status from permitted to not permitted, you need two witnesses normally. So when the Torah says, because of the circumstantial evidence, you believe one witness, what is he the equivalent of? Two, because you can't. So Torah says, what is your value to? So now a witness comes and says she did not commit adultery. What is his value? It's one. One is not believed against two. The Torah says to say whether something's kosher or not, you only need one witness. Okay? So you say it's kosher. What is kosher? How many witnesses said it was kosher? One witness? Because you don't need more than one. So now, later, another witness says it's not kosher. You don't need, so it's one against one. It's always one against one. Regarding Sota, once it's accepted, he's believed that when we accept his testimony, he becomes two. So when the other one comes now, one is not believed against two.
So two in the Sota, two came later.
No, there's no question.
Sota case.
Two real witnesses. No, they knock him out. There's no question.
Because it's two against two.
No, not because two against two. Because it's two real witnesses. It's not one is like two. That's two.
I thought we said one is considered like two.
No, one's considered like two, even though he's one. That's only regard to one. But if you have really two witnesses, I'm talking about Sota. If two witnesses, we know she did not commit adultery. We look through the peephole, nothing was happening. She doesn't need the water. She's immediately permitted to the husband.
Let's change the sequence. So the two witnesses before the woman sequestered herself. Third man comes and says, I looked through the peephole and nothing happened. Nothing happened at all. And then subsequently...
He's not believed. No, he's not believed. He's not believed. No, he's not believed. A single witness is not believed there. Saying that in the positive, it's nothing. It's only in the negative.
So he said nothing.
He said nothing. Nothing.
So at this point in time, everything is fine.
No, now she's still a candidate to drink the water. She's still, once the sequestering took place, we still have to verify the fact. Fact hasn't been verified.
What if the second witness comes and says that it didn't come together?
They have to come together. Because if they don't come together, then we accepted the first one as two. Because he's believed to say in the negative. Something negative happened.
How long after the first?
Once it was given, no. If they both come and they ask, what are you here for? So then the first one, they're not going to give a ruling based on what the first one said. You understand? They're not going to give a psak on the first one. Once they give a psak, it's over. The second one means... No. Pair of Aiden come, no. Pair of Aiden come and say, we know, we saw it. No. If they're really two witnesses, of course, then she's permitted to the husband. He's the equivalent of two.
But I'm saying the second pair of Aiden, she did.
No, they come together. They come together.
In the case that I just mentioned, the positive one,
He's not believed.
there is no power.
No power whatsoever. It's only because the only reason why we're giving any credibility to the one in the negative is because there's circumstantial evidence. That empowers the one to be the equivalent of two.
I still have that one.
But he means nothing.
But if they came
Oh,
together-
whoa. He still, his testimony is on record.
Yes,
No, then he will knock out, this, the second one will not take on any value. In that case, the second
Even though there's a gap between...
doesn't make a difference because,
Okay, then it makes sense.
yeah.
The second set comes.
No, not second set, a single witness. First witness comes, I looked through the peephole, I saw nothing. He means, we don't believe it. Circumstantial evidence. Now another person comes, I saw something happen. That's one against one. That's one against one. Because the first testimony is still on record. Right? So why should I don't give greater credibility to the second than the first.
But I thought that there is no such thing as testimony with one. You don't even listen to
No, this is the exception.
for the positive.
For the negative.
No, but you said the
Positive, no, because there's no there's nothing, has no value for the positive.
So then why is it okay? Why does it knock out the second one?
Again, if they would come simultaneously. No, let's talk they came simultaneously.
In that particular case,
Then why? Because it's only once you testify. But since we already have testimony on the books, that nothing, why is your testimony greater than the others? We have to accept. It's only once the testimony was accepted. If the testimony was accepted, then it takes on value.
testimony is only testimony if there are two.
No, except here. This is the only exception. This is the only
But
exception.
never in the positive.
Never in the positive. Never in the
So
positive.
how is it that the first person quote testimony on record? I would think
Again,
they wouldn't
the
write it down.
second testimony never becomes testimony. We don't allow him to testify. I mean, I said, what are you here for? I saw something happen. They don't even interrogate the man. They don't even listen to the man. We already said we have one against one. We can't even listen to what you have to say. It's only testimony once he testifies. The court says it's one against one. You understand? It's only once he testifies then that he's established as that.
But if it were reversed, the negative doesn't
Then it's on the.
one doesn't knock him out.
Second one will not knock him out. Correct.
The other way, it does knock
Because we don't even allow it to begin. If the positive comes first, we don't allow the second one never begins. But once the negative begins, it's established in the negative. Therefore, the negative its status is 2. Therefore, the 1 is not believed. Wait a second. I'm coming to a question. It's known. There's a famous Rambam. The Rambam rules. Let's say a person eats meat, and an Eid Echad comes and says the meat he ate was nevela. And it's wait that he ate not kosher, and he was forewarned. Single witness says this that he shouldn't eat it. Let's say he was he says the single he was forewarned by 2, right? And he ate it. Is he believed? He's not believed. He's an Eid Echad. To punishment, you need 2 witnesses. To subject the person to punishment. Okay, he's not believed. Now, what happens if the Eid Echad comes says a piece of meat, which we don't know is kosher, not kosher, says it's not kosher. And minimally, let's say 30 days passes. So the court ruled it's not kosher based on the testimony of a single witness. And now somebody wants to eat it. And somebody says, you know something? Because that it was ruled that's not kosher, if you eat it, you're going to get malchus. And he eats it. He gets malchus. It's based on the testimony. The reason why we're saying it's not kosher, only Eid Echad said it was not kosher. Single witness. Okay? Wait, that's what we're introducing now. Wait. But there's a difference, of course. I'm getting back to Nuki Yosef and Yevomis. Nuki Yosef wanted to differentiate between the case of Sota and the case of Nevela. The case of Sota, he said, because by Sota, it's a Davar Sheberva, Torah believes a single witness. So what is the value of his testimony? The value of his testimony is 2. Okay? So therefore, when the person comes later, it's 1 against 2. He's not believed. For Davar Shebe'isr, how many witnesses do you need? Maximally 1 witness. So even after he testifies, how many witnesses do I have? What's the value of his testimony? 1. So even if a person should come later, it's still 1 against 1. Wait. It's 1 against 1, right? That's the question of Nuki Yosef. So now, Rambam says that Eid Echad testifies that something's in the veil, and subsequently, he doesn't say Shloshim Yom, 30 days. Somebody goes and eats it, and he's forewarned, he'll get malchus. Oh, but that's a technicality of forewarning. That's something else. But what is the basis why it's considered not kosher? The basis is the testimony of a single witness, right? That's it. So we see that it has established itself. It's established as 1. Nevertheless, we give him malchus. So why don't we say the same thing? If we believe it as reality enough to give him a malchus, for malchus you need 2 witnesses, right? You need 2 witnesses, right? That means we're giving it the credibility in this context as if 2 witnesses testified to meat is not kosher, right? No. Only he ate it. But what about the innate wrongness of the entity that he ate?
Because that was established.
So we have to differentiate because that's established.
Right.
So how do we have to differentiate? There, of course, it's chuzak. Here, by Sota, the ruling was given. Once the ruling was given, testimony has been admitted. She's not permitted. Now you want to come and testify. 5 minutes later, Chad b'mokum trei. It's 1 against 2. You're not believed. Over here, 1 man testifies. It's not kosher. Person comes, and the court accepts his testimony. A day later, somebody comes, and 2 hours later, it's kosher. We'll accept his testimony. That's why? Because still 1 against 1. Because you never needed more than 1 to say that it was not kosher. So now you have contradictory testimony. The second one will undo the first one. Now we're in a quandary. Who to believe? To believe the first one, to believe the second one. Here? It's only because it was chuzak. 30 days has passed and it's already been assumed. It's taken on the status of not kosher. That's why you give the man malchus. It's time related. it's Hulzak. That's 30 days.
I'm not getting the point.
Okay.
You said if a single witness looked through the peephole and he saw something,
Howard.
he is believed because the combination of one plus circumstantial makes it like two. And if a second witness came and said, I also looked through and I saw nothing, he said nothing.
He said nothing.
He said nothing. They don't even listen to him. Okay? Now we switch to
But why don't we listen? Why don't we listen?
because it's one against two. We never listen to a single witness in the presence.
No, but they're not saying he committed adultery. The two witnesses only say we saw she sequestered herself. Then that's saying.
The single one.
No, but before we come to the single one, before we come to the single witness, a person's forewarned by her husband, and person's two witnesses. She defies it. She goes again. She sequesters herself. Two witnesses witness the sequestering. Okay, she's off limits to the husband. Now a single witness says, "I looked through the peephole. I saw nothing taking place." Is she still a candidate? Does she have to drink the mesota to be why? Because circumstantially, we have a question that she committed adultery. Because his testimony is contrary to the circumstantial evidence that we have. But yeah, that's an important piece to understand. The reason why he has no credibility or value, because his testimony is going contrary to the circumstantial evidence. No, but it's based.
But
This case, the Torah says okay, but it's enough. It's enough that she's off limits to the husband until it's verified through the mesota.
But either way, why isn't it the same as Rav Moshe Feinstein under the Krippel? That he didn't pay attention to what that woman said. It was as if she
Because she had a cheskes kashrus there. There, the mother of that child had a cheskes kashrus.
understand. But here, this one witness, why does he have any standing?
He has no standing versus circumstantial. He has no standing.
So
He has none.
So why would I?
But why? Why do you say? Because one versus circumstantial evidence, which is established by two witnesses, you can't ignore it.
So why is it no different as if this man didn't even exist? I'm trying to deal with the case where subsequently a negative comes along. The second one.
Let's look even they came simultaneously.
No, I'm not.
Well, why not say subsequent? There's no.
There I can see there's a clash.
But it's the same idea. Your question is the same question. Whether it comes later or they come simultaneously. They ask me, what do you have to offer? I coming to tell you that she's not a candidate for the Mesotum because she's definitely forbidden to the husband. Because I looked, he said, okay, and they said, what are you here for? I know nothing happened. The court says, you know something, one against one, we don't listen to either of them. To neither. Because at this point, it's one against one. But it's the same thing. So even if he comes later, why is it worse? The first one says, nothing happened. He's an Eichot. We don't give it any credibility to undo the Reglaim Ledover, to undo the circumstantial evidence. Now the other one wants to confirm factually he was committed. To accept that as a fact, I have a single which says that fact is not true. So therefore, I don't accept the second one more than the first one. So now she's still a candidate for the process. Right?
Now, if the first one was negative, and then subsequently
Because that was accepted.
they don't cancel each other.
Because the ruling was given, because it was accepted, his testimony was accepted that she's an adulteress. Once it's accepted, it's finished. There's nothing more to talk about. Case closed. The case is closed regarding her status as an adulteress. It doesn't help her. It means nothing. Means nothing. It's a fact that she's an adulteress.
I understand that, but now the second one cannot come and change the status.
Because she's already an adulteress.
The status has been established.
Correct?
Now, in the second case, I'm still struggling with the reversal of this, with the positive one came, and then the negative one came. I don't understand why the negative one doesn't cause...
I'm explaining you something. Because since there's already someone who said that she did not commit adultery as a single witness, you want to change the status from circumstantial to factual. We can't accept that because there's a single witness who already said nothing happened. So regarding that change, we're not going to accept your testimony. We're not going to accept your testimony.
No, it's a single witness, positive one, weakens the circumstantial evidence.
He didn't weaken circumstantial evidence. He doesn't allow it to go beyond circumstantial.
No, but
He doesn't allow it to go beyond circumstantial. She's still not permitted to the husband.
understood, but he somehow weakens the circumstantial evidence. Which negative or positive?
It's not called weakening. It's not weakening.
Because then, it's as if what he said has substance.
No, it's only
His
his testimony factually was admitted, but we couldn't rule on it because the Torah says you don't have sufficient credibility to believe you because you need two to believe.
Normally, when somebody comes as a single witness, you don't even listen to him. He has said nothing.
But why did he say nothing? Because he doesn't have credibility.
Right. And in this case, you've got someone coming as a single witness to say positive, and there's nothing in the Torah that says listen to him. I don't understand why you just don't throw that out as if nothing happened. That's the only.
Because, as he said, because we throw it out in regard that we don't rule on what he said.
No, that I
So,
understand.
if you have difficulty with this, then there should be no difference. They came simultaneously or they came consecutively. You should have the same problem. They said, what do you have to, I want to tell you what the price of tea in China is. The other person says, I want to tell you that you committed adultery. Isn't that called contradictory? Price of tea in China has no relevance to our discussion. So saying that nothing happened, that has no relevance to our discussion because you have no credibility. So whether it's simultaneous or consecutive, it should be the same thing. Okay. Okay. We'll get back to it. Okay. Now, right now, we're belaboring the point. Okay. You discuss with Ernie. If you stay for breakfast this morning, maybe we'll work it out. Okay.
Just one more thing for you. Can we say that if the person comes first to say that she did commit it, he's basically establishing the circumstantial evidence.
Establishing fact goes from circumstantial to fact.
Right. But if the other guy comes first and says that she didn't commit adultery, he basically is putting the circumstantial evidence is really not as strong.
Well, that's what David said. But factually, she's still not permitted.
No, she's not permitted.
So what does that mean?
But the guy who comes after to say that she did commit adultery, now it's not. Now it doesn't go circumstantial plus his testimony.
Well, that's what David wants to say. That he is believed to a degree, except it's not enough to permit her. So therefore, the only reason why I believe the one in the negative is only together with full-blown circumstantial evidence. But once it's been weakened, so your testimony is not, the circumstantial is not strong enough, you can't permit her, but that we should combine the two to give you credibility, that we don't give you credibility. Okay. Okay. Could be. Now the Gemara has a phenomenal question. Iboilu. We say a father is believed to say, is biti nasato shazer, I married my daughter to this man. And if he would say, identify the man, it's not a problem. Right? The Chiddush Mishnah was that even if he doesn't remember, the person is believed to say, I'm the husband. Now the question, after he identify, he says, my daughter is a married woman, and now she commits adultery. Is she subject to skila or not? Okay? That's the shayla. Iboilu. Mal liskol al yodo. Based on the father's statement, my daughter I married her off, she's a married woman. And now she becomes an adult. And she commits adultery. Or if a person commits adultery with her, right, from the age of 3 years on, or going forward, anybody who cohabits with is considered an act of cohabitation. Are there consequences as a result of his classifying his daughter as a married woman, meaning death penalty? Rav ain't sokling. Rav says no. To establish a reality, a status that there should be the death penalty, you have to have two witnesses. Therefore, ain't sokling. She's not stoned. Rav Asya is sokling. You believe in full. He's the equivalent of witnesses. If you're stoning her, it could be the adulterer too. 1 second. Rav Omar ein soklin ki hemne rachmono lov li surah. The katolo lohemne. When Torah only believed to say she's married, that means she's to prohibit her, that she's off limits to anybody but to the person who he established her to be the husband. Outside of that, beyond that point, not. Because Torah says you need 2 witnesses. So it's like there's a concept, ein l'cho bele chidusho. It's only to the degree that the Torah reveals. It's another level. Ravasi Omar, Soklin, L'kuli milsehemni rachmono. Fully believed. Because it's synonymous. It's like a psikresha. If she's married, it's skila. You know, you can't be half baked. You know, like say you can't be half pregnant. Either you are or you're not. It's irrelevant. He says she's married. I don't remember who the husband is. Somebody comes who's definitely not the husband, and he cohabits with her. So he definitely committed adultery. He definitely cohabited with a married woman. The question is, but since the basis that she's married is based on the father's statement, is that sufficient to classify her as a bona fide married woman? There should be a liability. Skila or not? Rav says no. Ravasi says yes. The Torah fully believes him. Saying that she's a married woman means with all its ramifications. Omer Ravasi, Omodino, but I concur with you, I agree with you. Bomeres niskadashti. What about if she says, I'm a married woman? There's a difference when she says, I'm a married woman, or the father says she's a married woman. Shein Soklin. Why? Because the Shav Nashchatich Yisura. What's the basis if I say this piece of meat is not kosher? Shav Nashchatich Yisura. Regarding myself, I'm believed. What about vis-a-vis the world? Not believed. If a person would say, I have 100 witnesses saying piece of meat is kosher, and I say the meat is not kosher, are you permitted to eat the meat? You're not permitted to eat the meat. That's no shav nafshcha yisura. You establish it for yourself as a forbidden entity. Not permitted. Right? The same thing. I am married. What gives you credibility that you're married? Shav nafshcha yisura. But so we don't accept it as reality versus anybody but yourself. So if that's the case, I don't punish you. It's like I won't give you malchus for eating the meat, although you're not permitted, because you establish it as off limits to yourself. But it has to be nevela, universally nevela. It's not universally a forbidden object. You don't receive punishment there. Not because self-incrimination. You're not permitted. You're not permitted to eat it. To be continued.